A couple weeks ago on Fab Friday, I mentioned that in a balanced market, it's completely normal for homes to stay on the market longer. And that's absolutely true. And today, I want to clarify something important. There's a difference between normal days on market and a property that's losing momentum. And understanding that difference protects your leverage as a seller. When a home goes beyond the normal days on market for that area, most sellers assume it's just timing. They assume it's the market. But buyers don't think that way. Buyers assume something is wrong. And whether that assumption is accurate or not, it changes how they approach the property. Today, I want to explain what actually happens when a home sits on the market too long, how buyer psychology shifts over time, and why the way you launch your listing matters more than most homeowners realize. Because in real estate, time isn't neutral. Time sends a signal. The first wave of energy. When a home first hits the market, it has momentum. It's new. It shows up in alerts. Agents notify their buyers. There's curiosity. There's urgency. There's comparison. Buyers who have been waiting suddenly pay attention. Even buyers who weren't fully ready sometimes schedule a showing because they don't want to miss something good. That first window, usually the first 7 to 14 days, is when your listing has the most leverage. It's when you're most likely to see strong offers, clean terms, and serious interest. But once that initial wave passes, the tone begins to change. What buyers start thinking. If a home is still active after normal days on market, buyers start asking questions. Why hasn't it sold? Was it overpriced? Did it fall out of escrow? Were there inspection problems? Is the seller unrealistic? Even if none of those things are true, buyers don't know that. They only see days on market increasing. And days on market is public information. That number becomes part of the property's identity. The longer it sits, the more buyers assume there must be a reason. And that assumption reduces urgency. What agents start thinking? It's not just buyers watching days on market. Agents are too. When a property has been sitting, agents begin preparing their buyers differently. Instead of saying, this one might move quickly, they may say, this one has been sitting. We may have room to negotiate. That framing alone changes how offers are written. Agents may encourage lower initial offers. They may push harder on repair requests. They may structure contingencies more aggressively. Even if the home is solid, perception shifts the negotiation tone. And that tone matters. The price reduction problem. Many sellers think they can test the market and reduce the price later if needed. But the first price is the most powerful price. It determines who comes through the door in the first place. If you start too high and reduce later, buyers don't feel excitement. They feel validation. They think, I knew it was overpriced. And then they wonder if it will be reduced again. Instead of attracting urgency, price reductions can attract negotiation pressure. Buyers may submit lower offers because they believe the seller's already adjusting downward, so why not? That shift can impact your final net proceeds more than you expect. What it can cost you. When a home sits too long, it can lead to lowball offers, extended negotiations, increased repair requests, appraisal scrutiny, financing concerns. It can also create a stigma within the agent community. Agents may preview the home with hesitation. Buyers may walk in looking for flaws instead of features, and that changes the entire tone of the transaction. Momentum matters in real estate. When you lose momentum, you lose leverage. The domino effect. There's also something I call the domino effect. When one buyer passes because of days on market, the next buyer notices, the same thing, then another, and slowly the property begins to feel overlooked, even if it's objectively strong. In competitive markets, buyers compete, but when a listing loses momentum, buyers compare instead of compete, and comparison rarely favors the seller. That's why the launch strategy matters so much. You don't just want exposure, you want early momentum, because momentum protects pricing. What strategic sellers do differently? Strategic sellers don't focus on testing the market. They focus on positioning within it. They look closely at active competition, recent comparable sales, current buyer demand, interest rate conditions, and seasonal timing. They price based on where buyers are today, not where the market was 6 months ago. They launch with intention because it's much easier to create urgency at the beginning than to try to recreate it later. The goal isn't simply to list a property. The goal is to launch it in a way that protects your negotiating power from day one. If your home is currently on the market and sitting, or if you're thinking about selling, understanding buyer psychology early can make a significant difference in your outcome. The difference between a smooth sale and a stressful one often comes down to strategy at the very beginning. Because in real estate, time either builds momentum or it erodes leverage. Take care.